Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguela. Zamfara State Police Command, in collaboration with the State Ministry for Security and Home Affairs, has secured the release of 100 kidnapped victims in Maru local government area of the state. The victims, mostly innocent mothers and children, were said to have been released unconditionally by their abductors. Jamilu Ibrahim has more for us.
The 100 kidnapped victims, mostly innocent mothers and children, hailed from Mana village in Maru local government area of Zamfara state and had been in captivity for more than 40 days. Their release was secured by the Zamfara State Police Command in collaboration with the State Ministry for Security and Home Affairs, following a dialogue with the kidnappers.
The Police Command and the Ministry for Security did not rest until we ensure that they are rescued without ransom.
Zamfara State government says the unconditional release of the victims is a clear manifestation of the fact that the peace deal remains tenable.
We always believe in it, but where the recalcitrant bandits are still on, we are going to use the stick, and we are ready to use the stick, and we have been using the stick, and it has been yielding equally very fruitful and useful results.
The released victims still look traumatized, as some of them said their horrible experience is better imagined than told, but expressed gratitude to the Almighty Allah for regaining their freedom. 20 of the released captives could not, however, make it to the press briefing, as they are said to be currently on admission in a hospital. The police said all the victims will undergo medical checkup and be debriefed before reuniting them with their respective families. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, has celebrated his first Eid-el-Kabir feast with frontline troops of Operation Hadinkai, with renewed commitment to repositioning the Nigerian Army to succeed in the Northeast Theater of Counterinsurgency Operations. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum attended the Salah lunch with the troops. Let's hear the details from Pauline Kujevana.
The Salah feast was simultaneously held in Monguno and Yobe sectors of the Operation Hadinkai, with the Chief of Army Staff attending that of Memalari Barracks, Maiduguri. It has been a tradition of the Chief of Army Staff to host frontline troops to a dinner every festive period to boost their morale and symbolically identify with them for the unwavering commitment in the counterinsurgency operations in the Northeast. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, who graced the occasion with his cabinet, National and State Assembly members, pledged government sustained support to ending the insurgency in the state and appreciated the troops with a gift of 10 million naira.
Fundamental issue that we need to promote in order to hasten the defeat of the insurgency is to ensure that the gap between civilian population and the military hierarchy is being reduced.
Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya urged the troops to improve synergy with other security agencies to achieve greater results in the war, as he promised to give necessary support to those wounded in action, while the deceased families will be given adequate care.
The Eid-el-Kabir festival therefore provides a unique opportunity for us to reflect and redouble our efforts towards fulfilling our constitutional roles of defeating our adversaries and defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria.
Theater Commander Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Moses and his deputy, Major General I.M. Jalo, acknowledged the first feast hosted by the Chief of Army Staff stood out as morale booster, which will revigorate their spirit to crushing the remnants of the insurgents in the northeast. In Maiduguri, Paul Nkujevana, NTA News.
Similarly, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, was in Yobe State, where he reiterated that the welfare of soldiers, officers and their families will continue to receive adequate attention under his watch. The Army Chief stated this at the headquarters of Sector 2, Operation Hadinkai in Damaturu, where a befitting Salah luncheon was organized for troops in the front line. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
Chief of Army Staff, who was represented, says the luncheon was organized as a mark of appreciation for troops and common determination, sacrifice and patriotism in prosecuting various operations within and outside the country. He notes that the Eid-el-Kabir festival brings a special reminder for them as it highlights the virtues of loyalty, obedience and sacrifice, which are the hallmark of professional soldiering, pledging to continue to appreciate and uphold competence, diligence and dedicated service.
No doubt, the nation is faced with myriads of security challenges. The Nigerian Army has so far lived up to expectations and will continue to remain focused in tackling these challenges.
The Chief of Army Staff also uses the occasion where he pays tribute to officers and soldiers who have paid the supreme price in the defense of their fatherland, assuring to continue to do his best to comfort their families through prompt payment of all their entitlements, including medical bills and school sponsorship of their children. The three-star general also urges officers and soldiers to remain apolitical, continue to discharge their duties professionally in the defense of the fatherland and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Well, against the background of incessant cases of kidnapping in Jalingo, Taraba State, Emir of Muri Alhaji Abbas Tafida has charged people of the state to summon courage and complement efforts of security operatives in tackling the menace. The royal father gave the charge in his Salah message. Adamu Haruna Adams reports.
Arrival of the Emir of Muri, Alhaji Abbas in Jeddah Tafida heralded commencement of the prayer, which was led by the Chief Imam of Jalingo, Muhyiddin Muhammad Dinga.
If you are entrusted with responsibility in any circumstance, you have to exercise patience and you have to be just.
Addressing his subjects, Emir of Muri, Abbas Tafida, expressed concerns about the spate of kidnapping and other forms of security challenges in the country. He urged people of Taraba State to defy fear and complement efforts of security operatives. Minister of Power Alhaji Saleh Mamman and Mohammed Bello, an APC stalwart, acknowledged the royal father's call, adding that efforts are being intensified towards addressing the security challenges.
The government is doing everything possible, to calm down this thing. There are a lot of progress, and also Mr. President is on it, and I believe we are going to succeed.
The battle line has already been drawn. They have already crossed the red lines. So we are telling them that enough is enough.
In Jalingo, Adam Haruna Adams, NTA News.
From Makurdi, the chief imam of the Central Mosque, Dr. Habib Suleiman, who led the prayers, urged the Nigerians, irrespective of religion and tribes, to live in peace with one another. Godwin Inalago will tell us more.
The chief imam, Dr. Habib Suleiman, said the slaughtering of ram is in obedience to Allah's command to Ibrahim to offer his son for sacrifice. He encouraged the Muslim faithful to always pray and obey their leaders towards the growth and development of the nation.
We pray for our nation, pray for our leaders, pray may Allah return back peace in our country, peace in our state, peace in our homes, and peace everywhere.
I enjoy everyone to go about with the celebration without any form of violence. That is the message we have for every Muslim faithful, and I enjoy the Christian too to celebrate with the Muslim brothers.
Allah Akbar, Allah
At the Makati Stadium Eid ground, the Deputy Imam Hassan Salihu Abdullahi, who led the 2 rakat prayers, enjoined all Muslims to imbibe the virtues of humility, obedience, and a life of sacrifice, as exemplified by Prophet Ibrahim.
In Makudi, Godwin, Inalegu, NTA News.
Religious clerics and leaders who featured on NTA's Tuesday Live program this week have advised Nigerians to make more sacrifices and be committed for nation building to surmount present challenges. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The feast of Eid al-Adha demonstrates the virtues, devotion, obedience and sacrifice as exemplified by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail as a symbolic test of faith. These scholars on NTA Current Affairs program Tuesday Live say should redefine the moral foundation for building a secured and economically viable country where truth and love shall be the conduct of human affairs.
Teachings from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that your righteousness to Allah will amount to nothing if you ill-treat your neighbor. So what Islam expects of a Muslim is to be protective of that neighbor. So why have we descended so low in this country that a neighbor will take up arms against his neighbor and kill him?
You must live in peace with all men. And those men don't have to look like you, and don't have to pray like you, and don't have to talk like you. So if we can come to that in terms with that Hebrews 12:14, as a Christian, I am open, am ready to relate. Are there not Muslims and Christians in our National Assembly? Why are they not fighting?
We have to agree to do what is right. When Mr. President said he has banned Twitter, look at how people were talking. The president of a country, our own president, whoever he is, whether Muslim or not Muslim, or whatever kind of person he is, somebody molested him, and we tolerate that. Whether he's from the west or from the east, we should be ready to defend this country, and we should be patriotic. That issue of patriotism has to come back.
Politicization of national issues, ethnic profiling and religious bigotry, stakeholders say should not be placed above sacrifice for one another and the nation.
Secularism is the affirmation of our differences and nurturing these differences by upholding these differences so that we can blossom together.
Sayyidina Umar said that the next person is either my brother in humanity or my brother in faith. There's no way the next person will not have that to you.
As conversations continue to take center stage, religious tolerance and peaceful coexistence are said to remain the 2 fashionable tools in achieving national development. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Well, national cohesion and peaceful coexistence, they say, can be enhanced when there is justice, fairness and incentives for hard work. Now, this was the perspective of guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria while discussing the issue of national sacrifice and peaceful coexistence. Let's get the details from Thomas Ogbetere.
Nigeria's heterogeneous configurations comes with attendant challenges of ethno-religion conflicts. These conflicts threaten national unity and cohesion. However, guests on Good Morning Nigeria hinge factors for peaceful coexistence among citizens on the promotion of trust and justice.
When a man has made sufficient sacrifice, he expects justice as incentives. He expects equity as incentives. But if you make sacrifice and then begins to suffer discrimination and injustice and some other kind of things, you want another set of the same man or his child to do that same thing?
We have been angry, or we have been reacting angrily to the poor incentive to sacrifice, and it has not changed everything. So why don't we say, wait a minute, I'm no longer going to do sacrifice because of the incentive alone. I'm going to do sacrifice for conscience and for my children, for the next generation. Because I quite understand that there needs to be an incentive to encourage sacrifice. But if you keep judging Nigeria on the basis of that, I can assure you that in the next 10 decades, we'll still be where we are. So
let people be committed to, okay, this is my country.
What is my commitment to making sure that my country is good? What is my commitment to see that we are all, honest people, hardworking people, that we respect the rights of each other, we don't cheat ourselves, we don't take what belongs to another person to own it alone. These are the things that can be put together and ensure that we have peaceful coexistence.
They also called for deliberate policies that will provide a reward and punishment to encourage more acts of patriotism and discourage those who promote disunity. In addition, the guests make strong case for more recognition of the traditional institution to facilitate conflict resolution at the community level. In Abuja, Thomas Ugbeteri, NTA News.
And more voices continue to speak out as Chief Imam of Item Central Mosque in Akwa Ibom State, Alhaji Bello Dahiro, has stressed the need for continuous prayers for the peace and unity of the country, irrespective of tribe, religion, or political affiliations. Kelvin Samuel reports.
Eid-el-Kabir, an Islamic festival which commemorates the willingness of Abraham to sacrifice his son Ishmael in obedience to God. The celebration, which usually marked the end of the annual Hajj pilgrimage, saw Muslim faithful converged in their numbers to pray for the peace of God upon the nation while appreciating Allah for his benevolence.
So people buy ram to kill today, there are no more. So the glory belongs to mighty Allah.
I'm happy, people of Nigeria, Muslim and Christian, I'm happy. Now God, now may Allah make us do that. May God give us the blessing for everybody, may bless everybody.
The chief imam and the leader of Hausa community in Akwa Ibom State, while appreciating God for continuous blessings upon the state and the nation at large, charged the people to be their brother's keeper, show love to one another, and always lend helping hand to the less privileged in the society.
We should be very, very prayerful. First and foremost, we must have that declaration in our mind that God is one, the entity of Almighty Allah, and we should surrender and obey Him. We obey His commandments so that He will equally have mercy on us.
In Akwa Ibom, we relate with one another, devoid of any form of ethnicity, religious bias, or political affiliation.
Almighty Allah to grant us peace and unity.
Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
All right, let's make a first stop, and Port Harcourt is it. Gabriel is set for us.
And welcome to Port Harcourt. The 2-day holidays declared by the federal government to mark Eid-el-Kabir celebration slowed down activities in parts of Port Harcourt, paving way for free flow of traffic of major roads in the city. Ijama Weke went to town to gauge the mood of the city.
As Muslim faithful celebrate Eid-el-Kabir, residents of Port Harcourt use the opportunity of the public holidays to raise their heads and meet up with other engagements outside their normal schedule. A drive around Port Harcourt City were indications of drop in the daily hustling and bustling as major bus stops and roads were less busy with human and vehicular movements.
No passenger, because of say workers are not in the position, so everything is not in order.
This year is better than last year because of coronavirus last year, but this year there's a little movement. There's a difference in transportation.
Some Muslim faithful were hopeful that as they celebrate the Eid-el-Kabir, their prayers and supplications to Allah will bring a total turnaround in the affairs of the country.
God has shown us for the days. Everybody was so excited because He's the Almighty. As long as we are a Muslim brother, you should know in the world, everywhere, today being a Saturday to any members of the Muslim and Islamic member, we thank God.
Activities were also in top gear in some prayer grounds. Our camera lens also captured some chatting and enjoying themselves in the spirit of the season. In Port Harcourt, Ijomu Gweke, NTA News.
Muslims in Calabar have joined their counterparts across the globe to celebrate the 2021 Eid-el-Kabir. Maureen Leo Ajum captured the faithful observing the 2 rakat prayers at the National Bakoko Central Mosque, Calabar, with the symbolic slaughtering of the ram.
Eid-el-Adha or Eid-el-Kabir, also referred to as the Festival of Sacrifice, is celebrated worldwide by Muslims, and it is marked with the slaughtering of rams, cows and sheep. The festival, according to Islamic injunctions, is the most important feast because it is an occasion to celebrate the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son Ishmael in submission to Allah's command. In commemoration of the intervention, an animal, usually a ram, is sacrificed and divided into 3 parts. 1 share is given to the poor and needy, another kept for home, and the 3rd portion given to relatives. For Muslims in Calabar, the reason for the celebration is not different.
We should be obedient. We should respect our leaders. We should respect each other. We want to live in peace, and we want to encourage everybody to live in peace with one another.
Islam allows anybody that is practicing Islam to gift a gift as a charity to someone that is within your community, regardless of his or her religion.
Although it was observed that the adherence level to COVID-19 protocol was low, it is hoped that implementing agencies will rise to the occasion to avert the 3rd wave and stop the spread of the new variant of the virus. In Calabar, Maureen Leo Ajom.
That's our contribution from Port Harcourt. Nationwide continues with care.
So stay tuned and welcome to Ibadan. Osun State Governor Agboyega Oyetola has called on Nigerians to promote love and unity for sustainable, peaceful coexistence in the country. Kemi Akinwande compiled Eid-el-Kabir prayers from Osogbo and Ile-Ife.
From Osogbo, Joshua Ogunjide reports that Governor Agboyega Oyetola joined other Muslim faithful in Osun State to offer supplication to God for a united Nigeria and safety amidst the pandemic.
We must continue to maintain peace. We must avoid anything that could threaten the peace of our state. We should not emphasize religious difference. We must have religious tolerance. We must love our neighbors. We must recognize the fact that this COVID pandemic is not gone yet. We must observe all the protocol.
Adejoke Iluyemi in Ile-Ife reports that the chief imam of Ile-Ife, Sheikh Abdul Hamid Abdul Semi, called on Nigerians to let the fear of Allah be their watchword.
If we fear Allah in Nigeria, politics will be peaceful. There will be no trouble, not east, not central.
The worshippers were filled with joy, witnessing another Eid-el-Kabir festival in Ibadan. Kemi Akinwande, NTA News.
And from Ogun State, Muslim faithful converge on different central praying grounds to observe Eid-el-Kabir prayers. Kayode Oladosu compiled reports from Abeokuta and Ijebu-Ode.
From Abeokuta, Yemi Dalimon reports that sermons by imams at some Eid praying grounds across the city centered on the need for Nigerians to live in peace with one another in demonstration of total obedience to the commandments of Almighty Allah as exemplified by Prophet Ibrahim, whose obedience is the essence of Eid-el-Kabir celebration.
Whatever difficult challenges we are going through, or as a nation, these problems will go away. Nigeria will become stronger.
Joy Popola from Ijebu-Ode reports that Muslims deferred the early morning rains to observe Eid prayers, message centered on total submission to the will of Allah as demonstrated by Prophet Ibrahim, which attract bumper rewards. The chief imam of Ijebuland, Sheikh Muftau Ayembadejo, also highlighted other lessons embedded in Eid-el-Kabir.
I know Ibrahim was very late before he got his first one. That was a lesson. If you are praying for something, don't think that God will answer you immediately. It may be for some time, but He will answer you.
For the faithful, it is mandatory to give thanks to Allah at all times. In Ibadan, Kayode Oladoshu, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Kemi. In the spirit of Eid-el-Kabir and in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's directive for the decongestion of custodial homes, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has facilitated the release of 136 inmates of Goronduse Medium Custodial Center. Now, this was based on the recommendation of the State Committee on Prerogative of Mercy. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
A dance drama by the Koroswa Cultural Troupe of the Goronduse Medium Custodial Center. This was to give inmates a sense of belonging by allowing them to enjoy the Eid celebration.
All the inmates in Kano State Command today are happy. Just like many of us who celebrated Salah in our houses are happy today, they are also happy.
Not only providing them with meat and other delicious meals for the celebration, the governor during the visit secured the release of 136 inmates.
We are here in order to ensure that the directive given by Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, we do all what is possible to decongest our prisons.
While some regained freedom on grounds of ill health and good character, others had their debts and fines settled by the governor. An inmate sentenced to death by hanging will now serve life imprisonment. Dr. Ganduje presented 5,000 naira to each of the released inmates to transport themselves back home. They left the confines of the custodial center with assurances of becoming good citizens and contributors to nation building. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Following reports of satisfactory performances of personnel deployed for the ongoing Salah Special Patrol, the Court-Martial Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboye Oyeyemi, has urged the operatives to sustain the high tempo while seeking more cooperation from the motoring public for greater performance. In a statement by the Corps Public Education Officer, BC Kazim, says the FRSC boss praised the cooperation of road users for the successes recorded so far and solicit for more cooperation. The court-martial urges the staff of the FRSC not to relent but keep their morale high, as he wants those violating traffic rules to desist from such dangerous acts. He noted that motorists must comply with all safety precautions. The Minister of Aviation has assured that the establishment process of the new private sector-led national carrier is still on course, with a target commencement date for operations in the third quarter in the year 2022. Let's see the report.
The APC Legacy Awareness and Campaign Group, in a statement by its national coordinators, Saliu Mohammed Lukman, Director General, APC Governors Forum, and Ismail Ahmed, National Youth Leader, APC Caretaker Committee, recognized major highlights of the Buhari administration in the aviation sector, with the aim of transforming it in terms of safety, infrastructure, and economic viability. The APC Group said successes in the sector include the processes to establish a national carrier, development of agro-allied cargo terminals, concessioning of the major international airports, establishment of maintenance, repair and overhaul center, establishment of an aviation leasing company, development of Aerotropolis, establishment of an aerospace university, designation of 4 international airports as special economic zones, upgrade of Accident Investigation Bureau and the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology. The APC Legacy Awareness Group said to mitigate the negative impact of coronavirus pandemic on the aviation sector, the federal government in 2020 released the sum of 5 billion naira in bailout funds, which was shared amongst airlines, ground handling companies, travel agencies, flight catering services operators, and other stakeholders. The group acknowledged that, like in the roads, rail, and ports, Nigeria's aviation industry is undergoing a revolution in terms of unprecedented investments in infrastructure and capacity building under the watch of President Buhari.
All right, let's bring you an update on COVID-19. 206 new cases of the virus have been recorded in the country in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 169,884. The NCDC figure shows Lagos has 132 cases, Akwa Ibom 56, Ekiti 5 and Delta 3 cases. Rivers, Enugu, Jigawa and Katsina recorded 2 cases each, while Gombe and FCT reported just a case each. A total of 164,733 cases have so far been treated and discharged, while the death toll is now 2,128. All right, let's make another stop. This time around, we're heading to the Center of Excellence. Ingino John Adams is the newscaster there.
Thank you, Ruth. In accordance with globally accepted trend in record-keeping and tackling misappropriation of documentation, the Nigerian Army is equipping its chief clerks to sustain stability and efficiency. This was evident in an event in Lagos, which brought together chief clerks from the Nigerian Army across the country. Lynn Leneke has details.
Proficiency in handling job description and immense contribution towards actualizing the vision of the Nigerian Army are some responsibilities of chief clerks, which no doubt make their duties critical. Drawn from across the country to acquire more knowledge in their field is topmost priority, and that is being replicated in this hall. Representative of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, pointed out that capacity development has been instrumental to successfully tackling the present security challenges confronting the country.
The Nigerian Army has extant policies on the use of social media, which prohibits, among others, the use of social media to discuss or disclose service matters. It is very unfortunate and unprofessional for service personnel to use the social media to disclose classified materials.
Participants were encouraged to make optimal use of the opportunity in executing duties in line with globally accepted best practices in tune with military convention. The event, which is annual, has as its theme enhancing professionalism and responsiveness in Nigerian Army's chief clerks for optimal performance. In Lagos, Lynn Lenake, NTA News.
A drive round some major parts of the metropolis shows that motorists are enjoying traffic-free roads. This is because majority of road users are observing their cellular celebration in their various homes. Diana Ajale, who went round the city, is set to tell us more.
For a change, most of the ever-busy major roads in Lagos are not experiencing gridlock this Salah holiday. Having observed the situation, I asked, how do road users feel driving without hitches or gridlock on Lagos roads?
Tomiland Bridge to Bariga side, everything is okay. There's no drop at all. I come for Oshodi.
Okay, is there traffic from there?
No traffic.
The popular Third Mainland Bridge, Iyanoworo, Lekki Epe Expressway and the ever-busy Amadu Bello Way in Victoria Island were all free as motorists plying the roads wished it could be a continuous affair.
I enjoy the driving today. To be like this, I'll be very happy to be driving every day.
Although experts have attributed some of the major causes of gridlock to violation of traffic rules and regulation, among others. They, however, advised motorists to be law-abiding in order to have safe and hitch-free ride in the state. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide on the network service of...
Welcome to Sokoto on Nationwide. The festival of Eid-el-Adha is marked with slaughtering of sacrificial animals. In Sokoto, it was held in its usual distinctive style. Sheikh Muhammad Datti brings us more.
In Sokoto State, there is a unique way of preparing animals for consumption and storage. This process is called tareni. The tareni involves long process starting from slaughtering of the sacrificial animals by a cleric or the owners who wish to do it themselves. After this, butchers are contracted on an agreed fee to do the skinning and remove the offals. The animal is spread wide and allowed to dry. Salt is sprinkled on the meat. After that, youths, either volunteers or on contract, take over supervising the roasting exercise. Mostly, this roasting comes in a ring shape.
Meat roasting or kekes roasting is very, very important, more especially to us Hausa people, and more especially in Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara states, because it makes the kekes or the meat to be palatable.
Now just taste to roast the meat so that the meat goes sweet, you understand?
In the middle of the rounded animals, a large fire is prepared using plug of woods for the roasting. This old method has continued to be used, which perhaps explains why, as soon as Eid-el-Adha is approaching, logs of wood and special sticks used in preparing terrain are displayed on every street of the metropolis for sale. Meanwhile, all business premises in Sokoto have remained closed, with only few traders around the central market. However, NTA camera captured a group of Igbo youths celebrating the Eid-el-Fitr. Work, however, resumes tomorrow. In Sokoto, Show Muhammad Datti, NTA News.
Putting smile on the faces of the needy, especially during festive period, is an act of philanthropy that widely receives accolades from the public. A political organization, Baba Buhari for All Support Group, has, in the spirit of this year's Eid-el-Adha, flagged off the distribution of 10 trucks of rice as Salah Palliative for the vulnerable households in Zamfara State. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The Baba for All is an initiative committed to advancing laudable policies and programs of President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration. The provision of Salah Palliative to people in Zamfara State is in line with the activities embarked upon by the initiative, geared towards providing relief to the common man across the country. National coordinator of the initiative, Aminu Sani Jaji, represented by its Zamfara State coordinator, Aliyu Abubakar MC, flagged up the distribution of the Salah Palliative in Gusau. He said 10 trailers of rice are to be distributed to people, especially orphans, widows, and Islamic scholars across the 14 local government areas of the state.
We have a structure down to the ward level. So we now collaborate with the state government. We have stakeholders committee. We also have a committee of Baba Buhari for All at all levels. So they are going to meet with the stakeholders in each local government to sit down and bring out those beneficiaries.
Some of the officials handled the responsibility of distributing the Salah Palliative at the grassroots level pledged to justify the confidence reposed in them, saying the assistance could not have come at a better time.
It is highly commendable in terms of putting a smile on the faces of so many poor, vulnerable groups during this festive period.
I assure you, this gesture will get to the right beneficiary, the very beneficiary it is meant to meet, by God's grace.
Each of the 14 local government areas of the state is allocated no fewer than 580 bags of the 25 kg rice. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
And that's it from here. It's back to Ruth in Abuja.
Thank you, Ismail. The Carter Charity Nigerian office has slaughtered and donated 70 cows and to 7 states in the country to commemorate Prophet Ibrahim's obedience to Allah. Tessie Omeri reports that amongst the beneficiaries are orphans and vulnerable members of the society.
Qatar Charity, a Doha-based non-governmental organization, has been an intermediary between donors and beneficiaries, mostly orphans and vulnerable, since 1992 in the areas of education, health, empowerment, among others. The Udia project of slaughtering cows to feed thousands during festivals is part of Sunnah of the Holy Prophet.
Normally, there are some group of orphans that we are sponsoring. Yeah, orphans. We have some orphanages in Kano, in Sokoto, and some other states. So these orphans, we're going to share these meat to them and also some vulnerable communities that we normally access, and also part of our project is sponsoring those needy areas.
70 cows slaughtered to be distributed to orphans and vulnerable in 7 states of the country as part of maiden edition of the Udia project, and will be held annually across the country to both Muslims and non-Muslims.
With the concept of the sharing according to the Quran, you can see that this event is supposed to bring harmony amongst us Nigerians. It's not something that is maybe for a particular tribe, for a particular religion. The sharing, everybody can benefit and should actually benefit from the sharing. It's not for only Muslims.
Beneficiaries smiled home of the benevolence.
We can't kill, so in the sense that they've given all this, we say thank you to them.
I'm very grateful. Jazakumullahu khairan.
For the Qatar charity, uplifting the vulnerable members of the society will make the world a better place. In Abuja, Tessie Omeri, NTA News.
The National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, NESRIA, has begun another round of enforcement against trading of dangerous species of wildlife across the Federation. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
The 1985 Convention on International Trade on Endangered Species provides guidelines for the protection of certain species of wildlife going extinction. Nigeria, being a signatory, is not resting in ensuring compliance. At Jabi environs within the FCT were victims who trade on dangerous species of parrots, monkeys, eagles, and other wildlife considered dangerous.
This wildlife are going to be either extinct, and is also giving Nigeria a bad name internationally. These wildlife specimens are going to be handed over. We are going to hand them over to the National Park Service, which is a sister agency. We work hand in hand. So they will take custody, and the culprits will be charged according to law.
Some of the birds, NESRIA hints, are responsible for some dangerous diseases and maintains that aside getting infected through these species, those birds have rights to live in their natural habitat, warning illicit traders to desist or face thereof of the law. In Abuja, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested a 36-year-old lady who allegedly uses multiple identities to evade security scrutiny, along with her partner, for trying to smuggle a total of 296,000 tablets of diazepam and Exol-5 from Onitsha in Anambra State to Gombe State. Admalik Hassan will tell us more.
The suspects were arrested with 43 kilograms of diazepam and 33 kilograms of Exol-5, with a total of 296,000 tablets packed in 4 large bags. They were intercepted along Makurdi-Aliade Road while coming from Onitsha, Anambra State, heading for Gombe State, using different identities to evade detection. Meanwhile, the Ondo State Command of the agency on Sunday, 18th July 2021, intercepted a commercial motorcycle rider with 465 kilograms of cannabis sativa along Ijegba-Ute Road in Oshe local government area of the state. The illicit substance was said to have been bought from Agua-Akure in Akure North local government area and being conveyed to the buyer before it was intercepted. In Abuja, Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Educationists are advocating the rejuvenation and preservation of native dialects to promote the nation's cultural heritage. Now, this is against the background of gradual extinction of some indigenous languages. Charity James reports.
Nigeria is a multilingual country with various ethnic groups. Research has shown that Nigeria has about 515 indigenous languages, although some of the languages have not been documented. Considering the enormous benefit of using indigenous languages, which outweigh any disadvantage of using the mother tongue, coupled with advancements in information and communication technology, how many can boast and speak the indigenous language frequently?
I can't speak it fluently.
I can speak my language, but not very well, depending on the one I understood.
No,
I cannot speak my language.
I can speak my dialect very, very well.
Considering the situation of the country's indigenous language, it is obvious that many Nigerian languages are highly endangered, while some are going extinct, with consequence being death of Nigerian culture and identity.
This is just a situation of macro ethnic nationalism and macro ethnic expansionism. So each one trying to develop so much that it eclipses the existence of the other.
Linguistic experts who blame this on some parents and schools who refuse to make indigenous languages their communication and learning tools advise Nigerians to make indigenous language their children's first language in families, while also using ICT that can enhance learning and preservation of indigenous languages.
Our native names are very meaningful, you understand? So we must try to give our children our own names. We must also try to teach them our language. Let them speak this language with us. Let them communicate with them in the local language.
Encourage people to pray to God in their languages. You remember that songwriter? He said, oh, for 1,000 tongues thy praise to sing. 1,000 tongues, that means different languages. Let our language be used in the services in churches. Where we have people who don't understand, then interpretations are done.
Children learn more, they learn better through their own mother tongue. And that if they allow their children to speak or be taught in their mother language, the children will do better, the children will reason better, the children will now have two equal languages flowing at the same time.
Our indigenous languages are our pride. Speak it and harness it for promotion of Nigeria's culture and identity for development. In Uyo, Charity James, NTA News.
All right, a bit of sports here. A 2 days Nigerian Navy Intercommand competition has been held for officers and men serving in Rivers State. The competition is intended to help naval personnel ease off work stress and also sharpen their swimming capacity. Victoria Edoni reports that Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awolikambo was represented by the Chief of